And there we go. Got the thumbs up from Facebook. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Dream Chasers, Interviews with Your Future. I'm your host, Adam Carswell. Hi, Grandma. I hope you're doing well. We've got a rock star guest with us here on the show today. Love the setup already. You never know what the other side of the Zoom call is going to look like. And we've got like the full, 10X studio coming at you live here today, ladies and gentlemen. So super pumped and honored to have Elena Cardone here with us. Elena, happy to dive into the background and the story of how we first got connected here. But before I do so, just want to flip it over to you and say hello. And how's your day going? And what are you looking forward to talking about in today's interview?
Well, thank you for having me today. So awesome. It's been, the typical normal day workout. I trained for about an hour to 2 hours every single day. I spent time with Scarlett. I did some Zooms. I did some stuff for my real estate stuff. I saw Grant and Sabrina. They left to go out of town, so I had to see them off. Now I'm in the office and doing back-to-back Zooms and catching up on stuff. And I'm excited to talk to you today about life and about building empires and about fast-tracking everyone's way to success. Let's go.
Let's go. Bring it up. Take the noise up to the next level, guys. I see. Yes, let's go. Yvonne, making some noise in the comments right now. Make sure you guys smash that like button. And if you got any questions as we make our way through today's conversation as well, drop those questions in the comments for Miss Cardone. And I love that, you already mentioned the family there. I heard you say Scarlett. Getting after it in the gym here today. I know one thing that I think of whenever I see you here or again on Instagram is I know you love your kickboxing. And I remember when we connected, you're like, yeah, Adam, I go 7 days a week, like no hesitation in the face. I'm out there trying to make sure I hit the gym 6 days a week. So 7 days a week is very impressive. Where does the fitness drive come from, and especially tied to kickboxing?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. No, the truth of the matter is I really hate working out. Isn't that crazy? I like it when I'm doing it and when I'm finished, but every single time before I work out, I hate it. Where did the MMA stuff all come from? About 4 years ago, I took a tactical shooting course. So I'm a 3-gunner. I shoot pistol, shotgun, and rifle, but I shoot for sport, right? So it's different when you're 3-gunning versus tactical, which is just a different style, a different method. So I'm not really trained in tactical. So I went to take this tactical course, and in the tactical course, by the way, I'm the only girl at the course.
Let's go.
There's all this like military and law enforcement guys, these really big dudes. And at one part of the course, there was a fight portion. And I do not fight. I've never been in a fight in my life. And now I am fighting with somebody. And long story short, like it was just a very big wake-up call for me because I kind of stress fractured my wrist right here trying to hurt somebody else who like basically laughed at me and did not get hurt at all. I actually hurt myself. And then it was a wake-up call because obviously I ended up on the ground and the guy was just like, hitting me with, fake punches. But I was really trying to escape. And I really realized if this was a real life situation, I am screwed. Like, I don't know, I don't stand a chance. So that's when I contacted the guy who put on the event, and he has an MMA gym here. And I went into the gym and I said, obviously I'm never going to fight, or that's not my intention. I'm never going to go in a cage. I just want to know, I just want even a 2% chance versus the chance that I have right now, which is 0. And so then that's when I started training, and I didn't even know anything about elbows or knees or, even an eye poke or just stuff that I just would, ripping somebody's ear off. Apparently that only takes 4 pounds of pressure. I mean, all these things that I learned hanging out with these guys that now I feel like, hey, look, I never want to be in that situation, and hopefully I'll never get myself in an environment where I am in that situation. But I just wanted for myself a fighting chance. So that's how it started. And so I started to go for that reason. Now, as I started to progress, because I've been doing this on and off for 4 years. As I started to progress, then I started to realize, wow, this sport is a lot like what it's like being an entrepreneur. It's almost like a game of chess, and you know when to attack and when to defense and when to corner someone into making them throw a punch that you want them to throw so that you can do the counter punch. You know, it just felt very entrepreneurial to me. So then I liked it for that, and then I liked it because you know, I feel like I get all of my stress out. So I have this joke that I train to kill people, so I don't have to really kill people. So then there's that. And then there's the other thing of, wow, it really does give you a sense of confidence and discipline to be able to do something that you're so unfamiliar with, so uncomfortable with, something that I feel so ridiculous and so unnatural at. And yet I'm commanding my body to like move a certain way and punch a certain way. And as I get more control, and I'm by no means where I want to be, but I'm better than where I was, even in that difference, I'm like, wow, I actually commanded myself to do something, and I'm seeing results. And there's something very powerful in that, something that builds a lot of confidence, and then the discipline to go every day. And of course I take breaks. I just go every day when I'm in town until my trainer is like, you have to have a forced day off. But when I travel, I don't train, because I don't train. Like if I don't have somebody with me, I am not training. I do not like weights. I do not, unless somebody is there making me do it, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Like I don't even kid myself. Like I go to the gym with Grant when we're out of town, and I like do fake, you know, treadmill or whatever. I just, you know.
It's a power of accountability right there. And it's really interesting. So my wife has a background in kickboxing as well. I've done maybe 2 or 3 sessions of Muay Thai training, and I think the one thing that I remember from those workouts was it's just a great way to kind of relieve that you know, that stress, because you're literally, you know, exerting it on someone or something.
I know, and it's the only time that like everything just shuts off for me. Like I can't think about anything else in that moment other than trying to survive and breathe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, this is slipping my mind here too. I want to make sure we give credit where credit is due too. Just want to give a quick shout out to our buddy Jim Morales, who connected us over there at Cardone Capital. When I got to get the tour, I don't know if you remember, that was really cool how everything is set up there. You guys have for the tours. Like I felt like I was a president walking around there. So just shout out to the whole 10X community and how you treat your people, your guests when they're in the building. Fantastic. So yeah, flipping back to where we were at though, I guess, could you tell a little bit or share with our audience a little bit about your background as an actress? I think you've got a little modeling background as well. It's just very evident the way your charisma is like on point, right? So where did that all start? Because I know that was kind of like a early
That's
thing.
another story. That's like a whole other lifetime ago. So yeah, I've always kind of been interested in acting. My father wanted to be a radio host. He was 90 when he passed away, so he was like a Great Depression baby. He fought in World War II. So just to get you an idea why I say he wanted to be a radio star, radio voiceover actor. So a little bit of that has been in me for a long time. The show person. I've always kind of been extroverted in that way. But I really wasn't planning on doing anything with it. It wasn't until when I was a teenager in New Orleans where I had an incident, like when I was 13. Unfortunately, I lost a best friend who lived across the street from me. It created like an enormous amount of stress in my life. I turned to recreational drugs, alcohol, whatever. I just went into like a self-medication kind of mode. And so I left New Orleans when I was 17 years old because I was terrible in school. I didn't know what I could possibly do because I hated school. So all I really had was the acting and maybe modeling to be my ticket out of New Orleans. So, so that's how I really kind of went into that route, because I didn't really see any other route. I wasn't going to go be a lawyer or a doctor, and did not think I had the intelligence, the time, or the whatever, energy or capacity or passion for any of those endeavors. But anyway, that led me to LA at 17 years old, knowing no one. And I went out there like 3 days after I passed my last exam. So I did finish high school, didn't wait to graduate on stage with the entire class, but I went to Los Angeles to try to get out of New Orleans and escape New Orleans. So I did. I had those successful years, the non-successful years, but I modeled. I did 2 months in Tokyo. I went all over the world traveling and modeling and acting. So there were the lean years, the poor year, the kind of good years. And when I mean good years, I mean buying a house, and I had about 5 hot rods, and that was making 6 figures a year. I mean, I was rich in my mind. I mean, I'm just this girl from New Orleans, you know. Right. So I did that for a number of years, and then when 2008 happened, and I'm married to Grant at this point. I got married to Grant at 30. Because I never thought I wanted to be married. I never thought I wanted to have children. Huge, like, error in, like, why was I so slow to develop in that area? I don't know. But I think it's because I thought that I needed to be the strong, independent woman, never depend on a man for anything. I thought I had to make everything myself, or somehow I wasn't legitimate or whatever. So anyway, now I find myself married to Grant. 2008 happens. We're on the verge of losing everything. I'm pregnant with our first child, so the acting jobs had like massively curved off, like as in none were coming in. I wasn't even auditioning. And now I had to look at, well, what are we going to do? Am I going to help my husband because he has a better shot, because he already actually had a business that was viable before we were on the verge of losing it? Am I going to help him and build this thing, or am I going to continue to go try to be an actress? And that's when I just had to kind of confront life. And at that point, I realized, you know what? I got out of the acting what I was supposed to, which was I was supposed to get out of New Orleans and like do something with my life. And I did that. So it was a pass on that. And then I traded in that acting career in order to trade up to this. I bet on a man. It worked. You know, I trusted him. He delivered. And we delivered together in what we've built up. So that's kind of the story about the whole acting career and how it transitioned. And now I'm on to the next chapter, really getting to play the role of my life, which is the role that I picked, which is wife, mother, entrepreneur. And I get to share my message, my story, my path, and be validated for that, not, you know, go on an audition for a vampire, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just didn't happen to be playing opposite Brad Pitt in the Vampire Lestat movies. I was auditioning for C and B level type vampire movies.
And hey, and now you're still here rocking the stage on camera. The energy is contagious. There's you know, it's really hard to train yourself to become, well, I feel like for you it's maybe just natural, but whenever you think you're bringing a lot of energy on camera, that's the moment that you need to know you need to bring 10x, right? You need to take it to the next level. So I'm feeling that from you here today. And speaking of 10x, now here we go. I just flew into Denver today. I'm here for the Best Ever Real Estate Conference. Looking forward to it.
Wow.
I was listening to this on the way, but you know what? I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is a great book. This is probably around 2008, I think, right when it came out. But there's an even better book out now, I think, that's sitting on the desk right there, if I could see.
What? No, this is mine. You want his book? It is on the desk.
No, I'm saying I think there might be a better book that I haven't read yet sitting right there on the desk.
Oh, a better book. Yes. I don't know about better, different, but thank you.
Let's hear about Empire, because I have not read it yet. I've seen the cover art is phenomenal because it's it's like your logo, right? Like I've seen that art multiple times before today, and it's just, the branding is on point. So not only is the branding on point, but like, I guess just tell us about the book. Tell us what
Thank
comes to
you.
mind. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you a lot about this book. You like this cover?
I do,
That's what you were
because
saying?
it's
Yeah.
got like, it's got, you know, the feminine essence to it, but it's like, hey, in the background, don't forget, I might kill you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you got that message. I wanted like a modern day sort of Joan of Arc leading a movement. And with every empire, you know, you have your daggers. I made sure, I don't know if you can see in here, but if you were to look closely, there's dead bodies because it's not always pretty, you know. Sometimes people need to be taken out. And the empire needs to be protected. That's the sad truth of it all. But that's very few and far in between. So I'm glad you got that from the cover. What I can tell you about this book is there's a number of things. I mean, we can go into the contents of the book. I can tell you how the book evolved, which actually was Grant pushing me to get it done. He thought I had content worth putting out there. I met him with a lot of resistance, especially as I started to write the book because it was difficult for me. Like I said, I was never good in school. I never went to college. I can't sit still. So I had a lot of excuses why not to write the book. And around month 7th, and remember, Grant writes a book, and I've seen him do it. He writes a book in a weekend. He writes a book in 3 hours. He writes a book in 2 weekends, but he does not write a book in 7 months. Like, this is unheard of to him. So I'm at month 7 and he's like, what's happening with the book? And I'm like, and I gave him my excuses, at which point he calls me lazy and a coward. And it really upset me at the time because I felt like, wow, I support you. And now in my head, you know, how could you call that to me? If any of my girlfriends knew you treated me this way, they would be like, girl, you need to leave your man, you know, blah, 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 blah. Which is why I don't talk to my girlfriends when I'm going through stuff with Grant, because they would give me wrong advice. But what Grant knew about me is that he told me what I needed to hear to sit down and write the book. Because from that moment, I literally became a shut-in for the next month until I got the book to where it needed to be, to where it could be sent off to the printers. And what that did for me was it rehabilitated my entire school, for one. My entire me thinking I can't do it, or I'm not competent or intelligent enough, or only smart people write books. I mean, I shattered all of that. Like, Grant was the catalyst to give that I was then able to give that to myself. And that's what I always say is what love is somebody helping you achieve your goals and your dreams. So back to the contents of the book. By the way, let me just clarify that. When I threw the book into his hands and said, how do you like that from lazy and a coward, is when he told me, I never, ever thought that you were lazy or a coward, but congratulations, I'm glad you have the book. So that's when I realized, oh my God, you know, he was willing to say, even though it wasn't pretty or pleasant or how I would think I would want my husband, who's supposed to be like, you know, this love thing, to treat me. But the reality is our relationship looks like how our relationship looks. And in the end, I got a product that I'm proud of, and he helped me get there. And I'm very grateful for that. And honestly, I believe that is the only way that could have gotten me there. If he would have gone into sympathy or agreement with all my excuses, I might not still have a book out. So, but the contents of this book, why I wrote that and why he thought I had contents that was of value, is because we followed a lot of these principles, you know, starting with your purpose and what is the purpose of the purpose? Why do you have to have your purpose? And who's in your inner circle? And what are the red flags? And who to keep in and who to keep out? And what are the core values? And where are you going together? And how do you expand? And how do you get people in on the mission? All of these things that we have in our life now didn't just happen because they happened. They were reverse engineered from what we wanted it to look like. Then we did all the actions necessary, but we didn't start out that way. We started out in 2008 on the verge of losing it all. So this book is really about the whole process of the road that we took in order to have what we have, in order to protect what we have, in order to expand what we have. So that's why I brought this book, because I wanted to be able to fast track other people's way to success and give them an insight. Not saying, not by any means am I saying my marriage is perfect, our organization is perfect, none of that. But I'm also willing to show you the good, the bad, the ugly of what we did right in order to fast track and keep the curtain open. So if anybody else wants to look in and say, you know what, I'm going to steal that part of that. I like that. I'm going to use that. Okay, they said avoid that. Maybe I will too. Or they did that, but nah, I don't think so. I'm still going to do that anyway. Whatever. It's a guideline and a path with a target of like, okay, this is how you hit this target. For sure, I know this works. You might try your other way, but for sure, I know this works.
Yeah, yeah, and it goes back to your background at the shooting range. Honestly, it's like you've shot at a handful of different, probably more than a handful of different targets throughout life, and you've got the winning bullseye laid out for our viewers and listeners and potential readers of the book now. So I want to give you an opportunity to definitely plug where our listeners can go to get a copy. I've got the URL here ready to queued up and ready to go. But yeah,
Oh,
so anyone listening.
well, if they want the book, they can go to elenacardone.com/empire, and the book is free. They just pay for the shipping. And Elena is ELENA. It's right behind me if anyone's watching. elenacardone.com/empire.
There you go, guys. Go snag a copy. And another thing that's around the corner here is the 10X Growth Con. I think it's about a month away, and that's always a lot of fun. The first one I actually attended was virtually last year, so I know I have not been to an in-person one yet. I will be. I'm going to be at a wedding in Belize this year. But with that being said, I still want to tune in, and I think back to last year. One thing that I really liked that you and Grant did was you did a very like open. It was like an open format interview with a lot of people, just credible business people from across the country and around the world, really. So I remember, I think you guys had a back and forth with Damon John and his spouse.
Yeah.
And it was just very organic, and it was kind of like, anyone who's in a relationship, it was kind of going beyond the layer of business. I don't know how else to put it. So I don't know if you guys plan on doing anything like that again this year, but I just want to encourage everyone, if you get a chance to either go to Miami, tune into this conference. And Elena, if you kind of just circle back to what I was talking about with that open format, I don't know if you guys are going to do it again, but just tell us what the conference is going to look like this year.
Well, the conference is going to be the most controversial entrepreneur event ever, for sure. For sure, that's already like going to be established. Yes, but similar. Grant's going to interview a lot of people. Where there's going to be keynote speakers. We do plan to interview another couple again this year. That worked very well last year. And I think a lot of it's relatable to a lot of people. A lot of people can identify with business, but then adding the relationship component in all of that, sometimes, it's a challenging area for sure. So
it takes a lot of courage on you guys' behalf to get up there and have that open conversation too, because you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you, gotta get a ticket to this, because you can tell it's unscripted, right? Like,
for sure. I'm terrified. I'm like, oh my God, I'm waiting for Grant. What's he gonna come at me with,
Yeah, and I'm here too. So as I mentioned, I'm on the road right now, so it looks like or have to go with the backup camera there. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. So guys, what's the best place our listeners and viewers can go to get tickets?
So GrowthCon is completely sold out this year. It's impossible to get tickets to the live event, which is why Grant opened it up to the virtual event. So you can get your ticket there. Go to grantcardone.com/virtual, and you can see it all. And then there's some Grant Cardone NFT release, something or other circulating around. So you definitely want to sign up and be a part of this virtual world if that kind of thing interests you.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I was kind of waiting to see if there was going to be a play on the NFT space. So that's really cool to hear. Do you know any more details on that, or are you?
I don't know what's been released, so I better just, no, actually, I really don't. I really don't understand that world that much, but I have heard some things circulating. I just don't know what's actually going on.
Yeah, no, that's cool to hear. I think it's a smart move. That's the direction a lot of events are heading. So that's awesome. Didn't know that. Now I let a lot of folks in my circle know, I'm like, hey, I got the, Elena Cardone coming on Dream Chasers here. So if you were in my shoes, what would you want to ask her if you got an opportunity to chat with her? And the overwhelming majority, Miss Cardone, wants to hear about the parenting life. I know you mentioned Scarlett earlier. Again, guys, if you don't follow Elena on Instagram, I highly encourage it. Her and Grant both do a great job of kind of showing, what it's like in their life, raising the kids, but both being very successful entrepreneurs. Raising your kids a traditional way just doesn't seem like it's even an option. And I like that. I think there was a clip I saw of Grant one time where it's like, someone said, what are you going to do? Like, your kids aren't in school. He's like, yeah, but they're going to go to 60 different countries this year. That might be a little bit more valuable than a traditional education. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the parenting style, just high level, and then we'll dive into the details.
Yeah, so the parenting style is different. They are homeschooled. I mean, people ask me all the time, aren't you afraid that your kids are going to be spoiled or have a disadvantage? I mean, because a lot of people come from, like in my case and in Grant's case, something kind of a lower level, and we had to detangle ourselves in order to get where we're going now. And so my philosophy is well, what if you take a child who comes in and gets the correct information, the right data, right? And I love this definition of information. Information means formation of the mind. That's what the root word of information means, formation of the mind. So it would make sense, right? Because knowledge is power. Well, if you had the wrong information, what would that mean? And if the derivation of the word is a formation of the mind, if you had the wrong information, wouldn't it mean you have a deformation of the mind? So Grant and I had many deformations of the mind because we had wrong information. It wasn't right. We've had to sort ourselves out with. So what if you had two children that come in and for the most part have the right information? They don't have a deformation of the mind. And you give them the right goals and principles, and you give them the proper love and care and respect them as the beings that they are, even though they're not adults yet, but respect them and treat them as their own person, not as children. Of course, they're not adults, but respecting them. If you give somebody from that point, well, where could they go if they start off from that basis? Well, how much further, faster, farther could they go? How much more of a difference could they make? Could they be even happier if you keep the child in exchange? Like I believe you can't spoil a child by giving them too much. I believe you can spoil a child by giving them too much without having to make them exchange for it. So as long as there is an equal exchange for it, there's nothing gets out of balance, or you're not making them a criminal. A criminal wants something for nothing. If you keep giving, and they're not required to give something back, you're making little criminals out of them. And of course, at some point, like probably in the teenage years, they're going to resent that you made them a criminal, and they're going to act out and have bad adolescence and not be the model child that you want them to be. But as long as you allow them to participate and be in exchange, which Grant and I do that very well. And again, we won't be able to know if what I'm saying right now is truth until hindsight. But this is where I'm going, and this is what I'm predicting, and this is how I'm raising my children. That if I tell them, hey, if I allow them to be a part of Team Cardone, what is Team Cardone? We want to make a difference for the better on this planet. Papa's trying to bring financial literacy, stability, freedom to the planet. I'm trying to restore the family dynamic. I'm trying to restore the value of women to society, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to help all these empire builders. We're trying to help people. Do you want to be a part of that? Yes. Okay, good. How can you do it? Do you want to do 10X Kids? Do you want to be okay with me being on the road or Papa not being available at certain times, or making, but in you allowing me to be here on this podcast, and you're at home bored and want me. But as long as you're not pulling my attention and calling me every 5 minutes and I can be here, then that's one way you can exchange with me, because by you letting me be here without giving me like a quote unquote problem, you're actually helping the people on the other end of this call that maybe can hear something of value that I say, and then we can help and change somebody's life. That is one way you can contribute. You don't have to be in the podcast, Scarlett, Sabrina, yourself, but by you allowing me to do that, you are on the team helping as well. You don't have to do it all alone. Nobody builds an empire alone. It's impossible. It takes a team. So while one's doing this and one's doing that, are you supporting the other one with the dream, which is the whole family is making a difference for the better on this planet? So they understand that they have a role in the family unit. They're valued for it. They're respected for that. And they're exchanging with that.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack there, but the one thing that stands out to me the most, I think, it's almost like the example that you were painting. It was like it's exuding out of you as a parent, almost, I feel like, without even realizing it, which is you're putting your children in a position to be decision makers. That's
Yes.
like ultimately, like, they are making a decision. I can't tell you how many times I've seen situations where, even if it's like going to a restaurant or whatever, just where the parents are making the decisions for the kids, and having the team approach that you guys have set up here, and where you're as you communicated to the girls, like, hey, make the decision. Do you want me here with you? Do you want me there? Like this is your call. I just think at a young, what are they, 8, 9, 10? No older than that.
Well,
right?
now they're 10 and 12.
Okay.
Like, are you on board with the family's goals, the family's goals as a unit? And they have a say in that, and I elicit their support in that matter. And they give me great support. Look, for 10X Ladies, I was gone 2 days for 10X Ladies, gone. I mean, from morning till night, out of the picture. The following 2 days, I did Build an Empire Mastermind, gone the entire, so now that's 4 days in a row. On the 5th day, I'm shooting all day at my house, Success Magazine, no time for kids. 5 days, I am completely gone for the kids. And I think, okay, this has got to have taken a toll on them. Like, okay, 5 days, wow. Instead, what my kids did was present me after the 5 days of me being gone with a huge bouquet of flowers, telling me how proud and happy they were of me. Like, unbelievable. That is exchange with me. Do you understand? That's like contributing. I am like, thank you. Now I have to find and have found time. Okay, how can we cook a meal together? How can I watch a TV show with them, their favorite show? Like, how do I put in mom time? It doesn't have to be 12 hours a day, every day, in order for me to feel like a good mom. It just has to be something and some time. Or, maybe it's, okay, we're going to have a sleepover party in my bed, you get to sleep the night with us. These are big deals for them. They love that, Like, how can I create as a mother and as a parent to make things also fun for them? And it's also telling them, look, your life is different from your friends' lives. You don't go to school, you have homeschooling, we travel sometimes around the world, we do this. And with that life also comes some sacrifices. We might have to have a sacrifice here, a sacrifice there, or maybe this means I have to have a security guy watching you 24/7 when we're wherever, and your other friends don't have that, but they're also not known, and you know what I'm saying? So do you want the life that we have? And are you willing to have the sacrifice of the security guard? Or do you want like the normal thing and we don't have to have the security guard? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's letting them have, without putting adult problems on them, because Grant and I try to really shield them from adult problems, but allowing them to participate as contributing members of the family.
Yeah, exactly. I think the other key takeaway here is treating them almost as peers. Obviously, as you mentioned, you want to protect them from maybe adult problems, but it's not like, oh, do you want some ice cream? It's like, Hey,
Yeah, it's treating them with respect. At the same time, I don't want anyone to get the idea out there. I am their friend, I am their best friend, and all of that is great, but I'm also their mother. And, as part of my role and part of the freedoms that I allow them, but with freedoms, there must be barriers, right? A kid can't just have full control of nothing. I mean, without barriers, where's the rewards? Like that can cave a kid in too, right? So I have to put barriers. So here is your box, right? And here's the parameter of which you can play in. And you can do whatever, you can make all these choices. But here's the barrier. And if you cross this barrier, this is the consequence of crossing this barrier. And so you can do it because you have your own choices in life. And I'm probably not even going to be mad at you because I've crossed the line too. Sometimes you have to cross the line to see what it's like on the other side. But I'm telling you, if I told you what the consequence was, whether you're not going to have play dates over for a month, or your phone gets taken away, or you can't watch the TV show, or whatever the consequence is, like I stick with it. And it sucks to have to be that person, but like they have to know, okay, you did it, it's fine, you did it. That's the choices. But you got to make your choice. I'm not gonna, you cross the line and me smack you and whack you and call you names and degrade you as a being because you crossed a line, Let them figure out, you know what, I don't like when I do that. It doesn't feel good, And in our house, I have rules. If they don't know the line and it's never been told to them before, they don't get in trouble for it. So a lot of times they get freebies. I'm like, okay, now we don't do that. If you do that, this is the consequence. So they have to know the game that you're playing. They have to know the rules. They have to know the consequences. And then they also have the freedom of choice in that.
Yeah. Okay. This is good. So I'm going to circle back to that one in a moment. Before, you've mentioned it a couple of times here, so I just want to make sure we get the proper marketing plug for it. But you said 10x ladies and 10x kids. So for anyone who's tuned in and interested in learning more about what those are, I guess could you briefly explain each and where they can go for information on 10x ladies and kids?
So 10X Ladies, they can go to 10xladies.com, and that's an annual event that I put together every year where I bring women around the globe in to convene at this conference. And it's really becoming how to become 10X in business, in finance, in your relationships, in your mindset. And you can't be 10X in health and be failing in your relationships, and you can't be 10X in your relationships and be failing in your health, So it's really coming together, figuring out how do we actually be 10X on all 5 pillars, and then how do we own our responsibility and our power as women to go back into the world, not only living up to our own full potential, but how do we make our families better? How do we make our communities better? How do we make it better around us? And the group of women that come together at these events are truly there to help lift each other up to a heightened level of success. So 10xladies.com for that. And 10x Kids, you can go to 10xkids.com. We have a new version of a 10X book. I don't have it here. I was looking around for it. But it's for kids. So kids can understand that book that you're reading, the 10X rule. It's basically the 10X rule, but for kids. And then eventually Sabrina and Scarlett want to do a 10X Kids conference where it's by kids, for kids, where the parents are either sitting in the back of the room, or if the kid wants them to sit next to them, of course they can. But it's really kids doing keynote speeches, 15, 20 minutes with lots of good breaks, but really kids having the opportunity to express and learn from one another what kids need to hear from other kids.
Sure. And that's awesome. I think if there's any void in the industry right now that would really need to be fulfilled, I think it's something like 10X Kids, because I can't think of any other kids
it's the stuff that they're not teaching in school.
Right.
They don't teach this stuff in school. Like we you asked me about parenting, it opens up a whole can of worms. Like it just does. Like I can tell you so many things that we've done. Like we don't tell our kids, be careful, for instance. We never say be careful. You know, be careful, be careful. What does that do to a kid? Oh, be scared of the entire world. It could get me. It's like, no, I would say, look at that. You know, look at this edge. You see this edge? It's really sharp. It's made of glass. If you hit it, it could hurt you. Beware. Now, as my responsibility of a parent, I need to make the environment safe and protected. I'm not going to leave a loaded gun on a countertop and say, you know, watch the gun, you know, or watch the knife. I'm going to make the environment safe. But when I can't make the environment safe because I'm not going to have things on every little corner of everything in my house, because I think kids can actually perceive, you know, at 2 and 3, look, you see, there's an edge here. Don't fall on that edge, you know, watch, look. And it gets their attention to look out and observe their environment rather than be afraid, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. Again, we don't say, don't talk to strangers. You know, Grant says this all the time about this story. It's strangers have everything you need. You know, he has the phrase, who's got my money? When you want to transact in business, you're going to have to go out to people outside of your family to tell them about your products and services. Those are strangers. You need to talk to strangers. So we've never taught them not to talk to strangers. We've taught them to talk to strangers when we're in public. You go order the coffees for us. You know, I'm watching this. Again, it's my job to make the environment safe and not put adult problems on a child. I don't want my child terrified that some molester, kidnapper is going to get them. I just want to make the environment safe so that they can be free in their world. And then when they become of appropriate age, they can be thinking with it. Because let's face it, a 4-year-old, no matter what, if I'm not protecting the environment, if somebody wants to kidnap a 4-year-old, they're kidnapping a 4-year-old. Why do I have to terrorize the 4-year-old thinking somebody's going to kidnap them? Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, why would I do that? Like, either hire security or don't let your kids be where you can't supervise them, and don't put them in a place where somebody could do that, you know?
No, true. I mean, I think the elimination of be careful is brilliant. I love the encouragement of be aware. One thing that I'm sure, it sounds like you're probably just as tired of hearing it as I am, which is the phrase stay safe. I have one more person tell me stay safe. I mean, I like stay healthy.
You could be dangerous.
Stay healthy or stay dangerous even, right? Stay dangerous.
Stay dangerous.
And stay healthy. That's the alternative. So let's spread the word, ladies and gentlemen. But that's awesome. So as I mentioned, one other thing I want to circle back on, you kind of just touched on it there too, which is you know, I have seen in the parenting realms, and actually I'm not a dad yet, and I'm sure my wife is tuned in listening right now too, and our time will come. One thing that has driven me crazy, and again, I don't know what it's like till I'm actually a dad, but you know, parents who will threaten their children but then never actually do what the threat is. I guess could you just elaborate? It sounds like that's not an issue for you guys, but it's something that I think as a parent you almost need to train yourself to become comfortable like following through on whatever the discipline may be. So what would your recommendations be to any parents out there who kind of have a hard time maybe drawing that line?
Well, first of all, I'm never going to do anything to degrade my children. So like hitting a child is completely off of the table, or pinching an ear, or I'm strictly against that. I would never do that. Like, I wouldn't want some man who's stronger than me manhandling me or pinching my ear. So why would I do that to someone who can't physically defend themselves? So, but for whatever the ramification is, it does suck. And I hate to be that person. I'm the one who had to take Sabrina's phone away when, you know, when she had the choice to make, and she decided to cross the line and do whatever she wasn't supposed to do. I'm the one that had to follow through and take the phone away, and it sucks. But in the end, what I want you to know is that she ended up, when she got off of the phone, and I took it away for a year, but when she got off the phone, she got happier. She respected me more. She thanked me for it. She was like, you know, that phone was really making me go, like down tone, like, you know, it was too much in her own head, and it made her depressed. And she knew she was looking at stuff on TikTok and whatever that she shouldn't, that didn't make her feel good about herself, you know, and because they know what's right and what's wrong, you know, and in the end, she has a higher ethics level because of it. And she ended up respecting my decision on that, and ultimately agreeing that it was the right one to make. So I think as long as you're fair and you're not just trying to bully your child into doing what you want them to do because it's easier for you, but rather because it's the right thing to do for them to develop as a child, then then you have that obligation as a parent to help your child be set up to be the best version of themselves in life. And if you don't have the systems into place, then what ultimately will happen is they're going to get into the real world or into life and think that everything's going to be okay if they don't do this or they do that, and it's not going to be okay. There will be ramifications, and life will punish them for that, for those choices. So it's either they're going to learn now and be raised like, okay, I get this, I know, I am prepared for life, or they're going to get out into the real world and have another thing coming that's maybe harder for them to deal and to cope with because they have had a lot of misinformation.
Yeah, well, I guess I gotta say, Scarlett and Sabrina, thank you for allowing your mom to come and hang out with us here today on Dream Chasers. We really appreciate all the hard work you guys are putting in behind the scenes, and I'm definitely impressed with 10X Kids and the direction it sounds like that initiative is going. So I want to encourage, Scarlett and Sabrina and all Cardones around the world to keep that going. I think there's just such a need for a feeding of the entrepreneurial spirit for our youth that currently does not exist.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'd like to know if you've got like 2 or 3 quotes, Elena, that you feel as though have really transformed the way you go about living your life on a daily basis. I know you might need a moment here to pause and think. If you got them ready to go, awesome.
No,
But
I mean, I have them because it's like, it's my motto. It's what I live by.
awesome.
And it tortures me every single day. And I hope it tortures you, which is that you're either creating an empire or you're destroying one with every decision that you make, with every action that you take or not take. You're either creating or destroying an empire. Whether you know it or not doesn't make it not true. It just means that you're unaware and you're still creating or destroying an empire without knowing. But that is what is happening with every single decision, whether it's something as simple as not drinking your water, or taking your vitamins, working out, or eating the pastry, to, okay, I'm going to take part in this fight with my wife because we don't have our goals big enough, so that becomes the game. And so let's destroy, so we have something to do, so we can pretend like we, are like, doing the couple thing, because that's what couples do. Or, or you can go create big purposes together and get aligned and be on the same page and have each other's back and go fight the enemies.
That's right. That's right. Just like that cover of that book.
Yeah. So mine is, you're either creating or destroying an empire. And the other one is, as I say, find the one you trust and build an empire. So I don't say find the one you love, because obviously that is a given, but also love is created over time. Like after the honeymoon phase falls out, love is created, and that bond is continually created. So it's find the one you trust, the one that has the core values, that is on the same mission, that y'all want to reach heightened levels of success together. Find the one you trust them to execute in the roles that y'all have delegated, that each of you are going to run and control and operate, and trust each other to build this thing together through thick and thin, whether times are good or bad, or you're fighting or you're not fighting, or you like each other that day or you don't like each other that day. But you can be trusted to continually make the most survival choices for your empire and for each other. And that's what's going to continue to grow the thing, rather than doing something stupid.
Mic drop. Love it. So I got two more quick ones for you here. One, Elena, do you have any questions for me?
Where did we meet before? Because you're so familiar, and I'm like sitting here going, I know I should know this and it's killing me, but like I'm not drawing it fast enough. I feel like we've met before.
We have. We connected, as I mentioned. I was doing that tour at 10X.
Here.
Awesome. And I've been following you on Instagram for a few years, so I don't know. Probably just commenting.
Do we respond? Do we message each other on Instagram?
Yeah, I think you responded to me a few times. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Well,
Thank
then good. No more
you
questions.
or
You
the
just have
team
a
or
very
whoever it is. Yeah.
comfortable, like I feel like, okay, yeah, good. We know each other.
Yes,
That's good. I
definitely.
like that.
Yeah. 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 So thank you. It's a very, you're very authentic, clearly. Like a lot of your stuff you shared with us here today, just clearly unscripted. And on that note, we'll tie that into what I was talking about with 10x, which I know a lot of the way that's laid out is nice and raw and unscripted. So how can our viewers go and get a little bit more information on 10x GrowthCon, as that's right around the corner?
Well, I'd like to send them to grantcardone.com/virtual because they can sign up for the virtual event there and get some more information about GrowthCon there. We're sold out. I already said that, but not for the virtual.
That's
So
what it was.
come join us
Yeah.
on the virtual. And then, we've got some amazing guests as we always do. And this year is going to be the controversial event. This will be the controversial entrepreneurial event of the century. Believe me when I tell you that. And that's really all I can say. But, GrowthCon always over delivers. It's always brings together the 10Xers around the globe who want to be surrounded by other like-minded individuals. And, you need to be surrounded by people that are like-minded to stay sane if you happen to be around other normal people that are okay with normal and normal life. Um, it can be difficult. It can be challenging because they want to convince you that work is bad and you should take off and when's enough and you're obsessed and they introvert you on your goals and your dreams when you hang out with normal. But all I can say about normal is the most dangerous condition there is because it makes you think everything is okay until it's not. Because normal can't sustain a hit from an economy collapsing or someone in your family getting an illness or being laid off or whatever other tragedy you can think of. Normal can't cut it. Only empires can sustain those types of hits. And they sustain that because they're built on a very strong foundation of purpose, of ethics, of integrity, of finances, of people, of an army of people on a mission for whatever that empire stands for. And so again, 10x GrowthCon is a sane, safe place where entrepreneurs from around the world can come, get rebooted, recharged, and get applicable data that they can then go back and take into their lives and really change the trajectory for themselves.
Love it. Yeah, so true. And if you are going to attend virtually, I know they did a great job last year, just making it a fun networking experience, even on the virtual side of things. So if you're going to attend, just come ready with the intention of, who's the one person that I could meet that could 10x my life or 10x my business, and
Right, who's got my money?
who's got my money. And I mean, we have to do this again one more time. I know 10xladies.com is a great place to go for more information about that conference. And your book, ElenaCardone.com.
ElenaCardone.com/empire is the free book. And Grant always says, never send them more than one place or they'll get confused and they won't go anywhere. And now we're giving you 3 places to go. But the last place is the grantcardone.com/virtual for the 10X GrowthCon that's coming up.
That is true. That is true, guys. I just got humbled in sales and marketing right there. She hit
Oh, me too. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. And every time I do it, I hear his voice going off in my head.
one call to action, ladies and gentlemen. Take that one with you as you head into your day as well.
Just do all 3, and then it was 1. It was a bundle of 3 in 1.
There we go. We'll make a link tree for it.
Okay, good. I like that.
Awesome. Well, Elena, thank you so much again for investing your most valuable resource with us here today, your time, as well as Team Cardone. Johnny, the camera guy, you're the man. Danny, thank you for setting this up. Jim Morales, thank you as well. I had a great time hanging out with you guys over there, and I look forward to my next trip to Miami. So any parting words on your behalf, Ms. Cardone?
I just want to thank you. I know I rescheduled on you a couple of times, and I can't even tell you how much I appreciate that you were so accommodating. You didn't get angry or mad. You just understood, and I really want to thank you for that. I don't usually make that a principal habit in my my work ethic, but it was unfortunate that it came up, and thank you for being such a professional about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, and the feeling is mutual. So Good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in as well. Thank you for investing your most valuable resource with us as well, your time. This has been episode 198 of Dream Chasers, featuring the legend herself, Miss Elena Cardone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next episode. And guys, remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level.